Okay, so a little flour. Now marinara is going to go a little longer, right?
It's the same concept.
Same concept. Probably use dry basil or oregano. Probably just a chopped garlic.
Are you sure?
Got scared now? Little egg. I have a little heavy cream left from yesterday. I'm going to use that. You could use milk, bless you. Milk, water.
And what's that in? Your bread?
The egg, yeah. To my tomato sauce, I'm going to just add a little touch, just a little splash of that balsamic vinegar. Okay. And then I have my breading. I have my flour, I have my egg wash, I have my breading. About regular breadcrumb, I have about 2 cups.
That's store-bought or you made them?
These are bought. These are bought. I have my seasoning for my breadcrumbs.
Cheese.
I'm going to have a pretty good pinch of garlic powder. I have a good pinch of Parmesan cheese. And I have dry basil. And of course, a little salt, a little pepper. Right? If you were breading something besides eggplant that we salted, I would salt each of these a little bit. My flour, my egg, and my breading a little bit. You can imagine if, well, you season this, or you season the food, but then you're adding this and this without any seasoning, right? So you want to season everything a little bit. So I'm going to have a tray for my finished product. Okay. Now the thing with breading, before I get into this, let me check our game hen.
Oh.
I had turned down my temperature, but it's still going a little too fast for me. The skin is browning a little too much for me. I turned down my temperature to 350, so if you want to make note of that. Okay. Now the trick with breading is keeping one hand dry, one hand wet. One hand dry, one hand wet. Otherwise, you're going to bread your fingers, right? Going in, and you'll wind up with breaded fingers. So not only is it a pain in the butt when you're breading, but you're also wasting all that breading, right? So you want to keep in mind, the eggplant is going to be kind of moist. We want to grab it with our wet hand, throw it into the flour. Dry hand into the flour, put it into the egg wash. Wet hand into the egg wash, dry hand into the breadcrumb. Okay? You want to shake off the excess in between each station. Shake off that excess flour, otherwise your egg's just going to be caked with excess flour. Same thing with your breading. Let the excess drip off and then into your breadcrumb. Okay? Go into our flour. Okay? Give it a nice little toss. Give it a little tap, shake off the excess, goes into our egg wash. And I hate breading. Pain in the butt. I mean, I like it, I like cooking breading, eating breading. I hate breading, the actual breading, right? So dry hand into my breadcrumb, get right in there, pat it down, make sure it sticks, right? Yeah, chef, of course.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Wet hand, grabbing the eggplant.
Or they plain breadcrumbs?
Plain breadcrumbs, I season them now.
I buy some Italian seasoning.
You could buy the seasoned ones, but, you know, if you like that seasoning, that's cool. If you want to control the seasoning, then buy plain and put what you want in them. Excess dripping off into the breadcrumb. Give it a little coat. Give it a little toss some breadcrumb over it before you touch it. That way you're not getting egg all over your hand, right? Make sense?
Yes, chef.
Pack it down. Nice little breading. Look at that. Delicioso. Alright, I'm going to pull my tomato off the heat for a sec while I do this. And remember, you need to multitask. You know, you need to keep one eye on kind of everything. Nice little coat of our egg. Our breadcrumb. Make sure it gets on the sides as well. Okay. Notice my dry hand. Still dry, no breading. These fingers would have been breaded by now, right? And, oh, I just messed up. Look at that. Let me dry that off. You know, and for somebody, you know, like me that can't, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time, this is a difficult. This is like an aptitude test. If you can make it through this, you can be a cook. I think I barely made it. And this is part of our pre-preparation. This can get done. You can bread and then you know, freeze the product if you like. You know, you wouldn't be breading those chicken cutlets, you know, to order. Right? You'd want to do them as part of your bulk prep ahead of time, and then you have them. Your homemade chicken fingers that you're now going to make. Your own chicken McNuggets. Jeremiah McNuggets.
No, I'm gonna make this fish and chips tonight.
Fish and chips, like, you know, it's easy, and even breading fish, like make your own fish sticks. You know, my kids love them. Instead of buying a you know, processed prepared product.
I ain't had fish sticks in ages.
Good homemade fish stick.
I ain't had fish sticks in a long time since
Gordon's
elementary
Fisherman got
school.
nothing on me, man. What's that?
Why
Yeah.
do you use corn over fish?
You can. It's just adds a texture thing. You know, there's no. It's gonna add a little bit of different flavor, a little bit of different texture. No different than you know, really breadcrumb.
That's what I use.
Just
breadcrumb.
texture
I
and
like
flavor.
breadcrumb.
Depending on the fish, I think it really depends on the fish with the cornmeal. Something very like mellow. Although it works with catfish.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and
Yeah,
I
some
think
catfish.
that is kind of more of a cultural thing. You know, that it was a you know, traditional way to prepare it than you know, more of a flavor thing.
I eat it either way, breadcrumbs or cornmeal, as long as it's seasoned right.
Okay, so if we look at my flour, egg wash, and breadcrumb at this stage, I don't have any flour in my breadcrumb. I don't have any egg in my, any flour in my egg. I don't have any egg in my breadcrumb. You know, it's still fairly clean. Okay. Now remember, so we have our breadcrumb. So we could, you theoretically could reuse this, right? I don't know if I'd reuse the egg. I'd toss the egg. The breadcrumb you could save. And what I do, like even at home, I'll freeze it. I'll freeze the breadcrumb and then use it maybe 2 or 3 more times. Don't forget it has egg in it. So it needs to be treated like that.
What if you had used like chicken first and then did eggplant, get rid of it all?
Yeah. My breadcrumbs for even like chicken, I'd probably freeze and use them once again. But that's if it's not out too long. Like if you're pretty quick with it, doing it, and then freeze it, you could reuse it. But you need to watch like, your cooks. If they're doing like, a lot of breadcrumb and then by the time they're breading, they still have a lot left and that's getting thrown out. Well, you need to adjust something, the amount that they're pulling out the bread. So, let's look at our game hen here. No worries about this. So, a little too dark here. It'll be nice and crispy. But you notice, we're still fairly crispy on the bottom as well. By touch, I think we're done. You can definitely smell the
Citrus butter.
the citrus, the lemon. It's right over that there.
And it's spewing right out the side.
Okay, so it does smell good, doesn't it?
And look at the butter coming out the side of it. Boy, you can see. Well, I can, I did a zoom and
Smells good. Okay, so I'm going to take our game hen off. Just going to let it sit on our tray. I want to use this, that's why I'm taking it off. You can leave it sit there to cool down. I want to have a landing zone for my fish and chips later. Okay, so we want to let that sit and rest before we fool with it. Okay, getting my pan nice and hot. I'm going to I have olive oil there, but I don't want to use that in my pan frying because it can't take that high heat. But what I want to do is take some of the oil out of my
deep fryer.
Now, pan frying, obviously we want our items breaded, okay? And we want our oil to cover the product halfway, okay? In pan frying, the oil should cover the food product halfway. We know in sauteing, very little oil, right? Pan frying, the oil's covering halfway. It needs to be hot enough when that food goes in that it seals the food and keeps it crisp. That food goes in the oil cold, what's going to happen?
It's going to soggy.
Soggy. That breadcrumb is just going to absorb all the
Oil.
the fat. And it's not a great fat that we want to absorb for flavor, right? So we want to get it hot enough. Couple things to keep in mind. We don't want to overcrowd the pan, right? So when we put one in, we wait a few seconds, allow that temperature to recover and stay nice and hot, then add another one. And really, we'll talk about the same thing when we deep fry. You don't want to go into the basket with loaded, so it drops that temperature of the oil so much. Okay? You want to let it stay nice and hot. Now, my oil was hot in the fryer, so it's going to be hot here. I'm going in. I want to be careful, especially on the stovetop, that my oil's not too hot, that my items are browning before they're actually cooked, right? So we're going to closely monitor that.
Like a medium high temperature.
Yeah. Again, our temperature range that we're looking for is 325 to 375. 325 to 375. Now, yes, some items you might fry at a higher temperature. Yeah. But generally 325 to 375. When we're blanching items in oil, we want much lower, like 300, 315 degrees. Okay? So we're keeping an eye on them. I just want to be real careful that I'm not, going too fast on them. I'm going to get my sauce back on the heat. Get that nice and hot. Okay, checking the underside of our product. And we're moving along nicely now, so I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit.
So what's with that? What's done in the middle? Like like how is it supposed to look?
Inside? Well, we want it hot and we want it cooked, right? So obviously a raw eggplant, it's going to be very firm. Well, we want it soft cooked like, but we don't want mushy, and that was the point of the salting. So we've got some nice brown color on it. We're going to flip that guy over, that guy over, that guy over. Remember, going away. Burn the people in the front row, not yourself.
Did you put lard in that?
No, vegetable oil, soy oil. And yeah, you can do, you can do bigger batches if you really want. Okay. Our sauce is good. I want to give it a little taste, make sure we're seasoned without burning
Your tongue
yourself.
or your taste buds. 'Cause once you burn your tongue, it's a wrap.
I'm so sure.
I think I was a little overzealous on the crushed red pepper there. A little spicy. So, with, somebody do me a favor, wash that rack for me in the sink. Now, coming out of the pan frying, that wire rack, please. Coming out of the pan frying, you can blot on a towel, paper towel, or on a wire rack. A wire rack is actually better, is why I want to get that done.
Because it drains it?
Well, just because it's here, if I left it on that towel, it's going to steam, right? And we're going to lose that crisp texture, okay? So I'm just giving a quick blot. I'm going to come off the towel. Okay. Pulling our oil off the heat. All right, just grabbing a little bit of basil for our sauce. Real quick.
Same way Charlie be doing.
Basil goes in. Right on that. Sauce, basil went in. Just going to add a little cheese in here as well.
Bada boom, bada bang.
But don't they say to season everything after it comes out fine?
You can sprinkle it on there. Yeah, something, well, our breading has seasoning in it. Something like a French fry that's going in naked, you know, for lack of a better term, you want to season that coming out. And you want to season it while it's nice and hot, that way the seasoning will dissolve. Okay? So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to cook a little bit more. We'll give a little sprinkle of cheese on there. Don't say it. A little fresh basil leaf.
Voila.
Voila, as the French say.
Bada boom, bada bang. Man, what happened to you? You ready to take a picture, Mike? You done backed up.
All right, so you could give a smaller portion as an appetizer easily. This you could serve as you know, a vegetarian entree, family style like that, whatever.
Would you serve like a side of pasta?
You could. You could. That and a side of pasta. There you go.
You just slid up in here.
A little different take than you know, eggplant parm.
Come on. No, I love eggplant lasagna. That is so good. What is that? This?
This is what, fried eggplant?
Yeah, this is pan fried eggplant with fresh tomato sauce and Parmesan cheese.
He used to it.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the perfect lighting, but it's just not here.
You about to make another salad? Sure.
Okay.
Same like yesterday, a different one.
Same one.
Yeah, that salad was good.
Okay. So I've got the rest of my eggplant in here. So you guys have plenty to taste. So I'm a nice guy that way. So thank you. So getting our game hand together. All right. So, like I said, we don't really want to serve it, you know, whole like this. We're going to want to cut her free. Make sure you're getting all the string out, away. Okay? Do my trash bowl.
Oh.
Okay. Now, very interesting thing to see here. See how that garlic's turning green?
Yeah.
It's from the garlic and actually minerals in the ground. That where the garlic grew. You'll get that sometimes. It's not bad at all. Nothing wrong with it. Everybody gets freaked out by it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So it's a little, you know, warm. You got to be careful. Get in there, in and out with your fingers.
Opposite worm.
Warm. Okay. Now, we gave it a little rest, right? You want to rest any meat before you cut into it, right? You want to allow those juices a chance to settle back into the meat, right? If I cut it right away, you cut a steak right away, you're going to get a lot of moisture loss right off the bat, right? So we want to let it have a little bit of a rest, okay? So what we could do is, and it's still a little warm, you know, and in the restaurant you may par cook this and then finish it off, you know, for the customer. But what we're going to want to do is make this semi-boneless, okay? We're going to make this semi-boneless.
So when you're done, is the chicken still a little full? I mean, a little.
No, no, not at this point. So, what I'm going to do is essentially split it right down the middle, right down that keel bone. Okay? I've got a lot of juices here, and I'm just going to open it up. Now I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to go right down one side of the backbone, right along the backbone, take that free. Here you can see, here's the backbone. Take my knife down the other side of the backbone and cut it free. Okay? Okay? So now we have two halves with no backbone. And just because you see some red there, that doesn't mean it's not cooked, right? Just because it's pink, right? When you see raw meat, yeah, well, that's not cooked. Okay, I'm going to turn my oil off here. Move that out of the way. I don't need my oven back there anymore. Okay, so from this point, we have a leg, breast, right? What I can do is I'm going to cut just like on the whole chicken where I cut between the breast and the leg. I'm going to do the same thing, cutting it free. So now I have my leg and thigh there. Okay, do the same thing on this one. And we smell citrus, right? Nice. Okay. So I'm going to trash my towel here and get
That's why you keep
some
a
of that
bunch
juices
of them.
up, right? And so here we have part of our hip joint and we have our thigh bone, right? And while this is cool enough to handle, you could actually debone it, right? Once it's cooked, those bones come away pretty easily. That thigh bone I can just really grab and twist it out. Okay? So like I said, we would par cook this and then you can debone it. So then you have a semi-boneless bird that you just need to reheat for your customer. Somebody's going out and they're paying 20 bucks for a game hen. You're not going to want to pick it up and mess with bones and get your nice suit, dress, whatever messed up. You're going to want to take a knife and fork to it. Well, this way, they can. You really have just that drumstick to worry about, right? The breast, same thing. Right at the keel bone, right, and the ribs, we can start separating the meat from the bone. And right at that keel bone, you can kind of grab it and you just peel it down and you peel off all the rib bones. We take
The wishbone.
the old collarbone and the wishbone, just give that a little twist. That comes out. Okay? Just making sure I got it all. Got one little bit of keel bone here. Okay? Any meat that might come off, well, you could just pop it right back on the underside there. Okay? And then we can leave that wingtip on. Okay?
split pea soup, Chef Patton?
Split pea?
Yeah.
Does it have bacon in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Can I have a beer?
You want the beer? Yeah, go ahead, man. That's a fair trade. Okay, so again, pulling that thigh bone out, and then on our breast, at the keel bone, just peel it down. And that way you elevate the dish a little bit, right? Instead of a bone-in chicken, well, now you have something that they can take a knife and fork to, and, you know, they're getting their money's worth. And you could do this exact same thing with whole chicken, whole duck, right? Cook it whole. Why would we prefer to cook it whole? With the bone. Flavor, right? That bone is going to give us better flavor. Anything cooked with the bone is giving us better flavor. And then, right, and then just take out that bone to serve it, right? So you'd par cook it maybe 80% of the way, let that chicken rest, and take it down just like I did. Okay? To go with our game hen here on the plate, I'm just going to do a little bit of a salad just to go with it. A little side salad. So maybe this is a nice little lunch kind of entree.
That's the dressing.
This is the dressing from yesterday, our citrus vinaigrette. I just want to give it a little good stir. Combine it back up, emulsify it again. Salt in our greens. Yep. Thank you. Look at that.
What's that right there?
Split pea soup, a little bacon on top. Chef Patton's lunch, that's what that is right there. Because I know I'll have to fight you guys for this stuff. All right.
Playing around, much more.
Nice little hand toss. And remember, while we're up here tasting, guys, remember, a tasting. Let everybody get some.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was kind of self-explanatory, but I guess it's not. So I'm gonna.
First come, first serve.
Is that what we thought? Just picking up our game hen, getting some salad on the plate, and then a game hen back down.
Bada boom, bada bang.
Now our vinaigrette, right? Our vinaigrette. Vinaigrette, same flavor as our butter, right? Citrus, all that stuff. Or we could just take a little toss of that. Just a little bit on top.
Shucky ducky quack quack.
It's a masterpiece right there.
Well, it's all right.
That's like the Mona Lisa right there.
Do you not
Mona Lisa, can I get a date on Friday?
A lot of people do. Like the outside, you know.
I never garnish the rim of the plate, right? Really, you'll be taught not to garnish the rim of the plate. Think of the rim as your frame, right? Does the painting go outside onto the frame? Right?